Hi guys, welcome back to This African Perspective. Thank you for stopping by. Okay, so guys, how do people actually pay their hospital bill after giving birth? Because honestly, I am so curious. Looking at the bills and how much people have, the bill that they are sending to them, their medical bill is so expensive. But we're going to be checking out the video. It's just so many videos and it's a lot of prices that people had to pay for birth. So we're going to be nosy and see how much people's medical bill for giving birth is. But before we get right into this video, big shout out to John White for $5 super thanks. Thank you so much for always showing support to the channel. I appreciate you. It means so much to me. Make sure you please click the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new here and you're watching me for the very first time. Let's get right into this video.
Okay, so I just got a email.
Okay.
And it is the hospital bill for having Quincy.
Okay.
I had my baby in January. Beginning of January, just got the bill for the total of everything. For reference, went into the hospital Wednesday. I got released Saturday.
Yeah,
Saturday. So Wednesday, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I was there for 3 nights. I was in there for 3 nights. I had to get medically induced.
Epidural.
Got an epidural. And there was no complications or anything like that. So the total charges, all combined, $87,891.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, let's break it down. For the room that I had the baby in, it's $14,706. Just
Did they give you an extra kidney? What is that for?
For laboratory services, $8,794. Pharmacy, for the Motrin they gave me afterwards, $3,608.
Oh my gosh. I could have just went to the Walgreens down the road, right next door.
Emergency room, not even sure what that means because I was never
We weren't in the emergency room.
Maybe triage, for me to be in the triage room.
Triage is an emergency.
$7,406.
Oh my gosh, we were there for 4 hours and that bed was so uncomfortable.
It was hot too. It was so hot in there. And then for the room that I delivered in, I think $49,000.
Oh my god.
$664.
I didn't know we stayed at the Hamptons. That's insane.
Anesthesia services, $3,036. Which
She was there for 2 minutes.
And I also got another bill from them saying that the anesthesia provider was out of network, so we still have to cover that bill too. And for supplies, $677.
For the gloves that they used and threw away 10 times?
Yep. So that's what it's like to have a kid in America.
Guess how much it costs to have a baby in California? Now let me show you the experience first. I started laboring at home, so we waited a couple of hours to make sure that I'm actually in labor, and then we drove all the way to the hospital. When we came to the hospital, I was already 8 centimeters dilated, so we went straight into the delivery room. Because this is my second baby, the delivery was super fast. I delivered in 20 minutes after entering the room. It was a very smooth delivery. I had a tear, which they stitched and brought us to another room. Here we had our own bathroom, my husband was allowed to stay with me, and we had unlimited food. Now, because we had a small kid at home, we asked them to discharge us the next day, so we only stayed there at night. We went home, and in 2 weeks, we received a bill. $36,000. Well, I actually had an insurance, so it was only $2,000 for me, but still, $36,000 for a natural delivery and 1 night at a hospital.
Guess who received their hospital bill after having the baby? Me. Let's go through it. Just going to start with the grand total here. $18,439.70. Mind you, that's before insurance, but still. I had my baby on the 17th, but they charged me for services on the 14th, which is when I thought my water broke. For that, they charged me almost $400 for lab/chemistry, which I think was a test to see if my water broke. But then they charged me $1,400 for labor. I wasn't in labor. You sent me home. But okay. Moving on to the actual 17th, we have $2,200 for the OB. I also received a bill from my OB, so you pay for that twice. $560 for the pharmacy, Advil, Tylenol, and stool softeners. A bunch of lab stuff totaling about $700. Anesthesia for $1,300. Again, something I was already billed for and paid for outside of this. $3,500 for labor, a different price from the other labor. Honestly, at this point, didn't I pay enough for labor, like physically and mentally? And then $5,100 for a delivery room, the most expensive hotel I've ever stayed in. Then they charged me $2,200 again for the nursery. She was in my delivery room that I already paid $5,000 for the entire time. What am I paying for with the nursery? Is it her bed that was in the room? Was that $2,200? And then there's just some more lab tests and pharmacy stuff on here. But if there's one thing I learned from TikTok, you should always ask for the itemized bill, which I will be asking for this. If you're wondering how much my insurance covered of that $18,000, it covered about $17,000, so I owe just around $1,000 according to this bill. But we'll see if we can change that.
My name's Kristen. How can I help you?
Hi, Kristen. Yeah, I was hoping to get an itemized bill for my account, but I don't see an account number on here.
Is it a blue and white paper statement that you're looking at?
Yep.
It's on the top left in the blue bar.
I don't have that.
What's your name?
Dara.
D-A-R-A.
D-A-R-A.
And how do you spell your last name? Date of birth, please. One moment.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I just need the mailing address on file and your phone number.
Phoenix, Arizona, and my phone number.
Thank you. So you need an itemized statements for the 3 dates of service and billing, or just one of them?
The 3 would be great.
Okay. I can get that in the mail. Do you need anything else today?
No, I think that's it. And then, sorry, is there an account number that I should have to reference moving forward? Perfect. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
All right.
In the future, if you do lose that account number, we can find you just fine with your name and date of birth.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks so much again.
All right, I will get those out. You should receive those within about 3 to 4 weeks, okay?
Okay, perfect.
Right. Have a good day, Dara.
You too. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Wasn't so bad. I guess we have to wait 3 to 4 weeks to see what that looks like.
It cost me $53,003.73 to have a baby. If you don't believe me, it's backwards, but you get the point. This is insanity. Let me read you a few of these charges. Room and board, $10,035. Anesthesia, $17,000. Operating room service, $7,848. Now, I'd also like to clarify, this is on top of the $3,000 that I was already charged before going into labor, just for my doctor to be at the labor, who, I might add, could not make it to the labor because she was on vacation. So I ended up having the on-call doctor. It was $3,000 for a random stranger to help me give birth to my child. So yeah, thankfully I have insurance, but still it's about $4,500 out of pocket. This is insanity. If you were thinking of having a baby, be warned. And if you are not from the US and you were wondering what our healthcare is like, $53,000. I'm sorry, and $3.73. One of the happiest and most expensive days of my life.
They have to be typing random numbers, and even if they are typing random numbers, like, does it not, is it normal for you to type in that amount of money for someone to pay for giving birth? For what? And it's like, most of the people that are saying, hey, did not even have complication for their birth. Most of the pills that is being given to you in the hospital, they actually cost so little. Like, they cost less if you actually just go to a place or a pharmacy and you just get it. Like, it's so cheap, it doesn't even cost as much. And I'm like, why does it have to cost so much while you're just in the hospital? Like, I mean, it should just be the same. It's just like you go into like a 5-star restaurant and you're trying to drink a bottle of water that is just literally the same. You could just get it for $1 or just some few cents, and then all of a sudden it's now like, you know, like $20 or $50 in a place, in a high class place. I just don't get it. Like, it's a hospital. You guys should just sell it the same price I can get it for outside. Why are they just giving random prices?
I gave birth to the twins 5 years ago. And my hospital bill for the C-section and for the twins being in the NICU for 10 days came out to $130,000. And I'm not exaggerating. And I will show you guys the receipts. And I walked out with a $130,000 bill because I didn't have health insurance at the time.
Yeah.
And I shit myself. I literally shit myself. And there was no way that I was going to pay $130,000 because that money could go to something useful for my kid's future, for a house. And I ignored it, right? So it's been 5 years. The other day I get a letter in the mailbox, and I open it, and it's that hospital bill. It was now sold to a what is it, a credit bureau?
Like a collection?
A collection agency.
Yeah.
And it finally found me. After 5 years, it found me, and now it's to a collection agency. And then on the letter was like, if you pay right now in full, like, we'll give you a discount.
Yeah, the discount.
And I'm like, okay, let me keep reading. I'm reading. I'm like, okay, what's the discount? They discounted me like $30,000. So
it was still like
it was like 90. No, I think it was like 90 something.
Yeah.
And I was like, BFFR. How is it that for me to give birth to 2 babies and for them to be in the NICU, you're going to give me $130,000 bill? Like that right there is the craziest thing that I have heard in my life.
Let's take a look at my hospital bill from having this sweet girl a month ago. Okay, so this is just one of the bills. The total was $19,000. Luckily, my husband has great insurance and it covered about $17,000, so we only owe $1,400. But $19,000? I have seen people's videos where theirs were way more, but still. So let's take a look at where all these charges are coming from. So my epidural alone was $655. I was in labor for 15 hours, so I did have one overnight stay coded as labor. So that total was $7,600. What really gets me is they code the first hour, so it's $334 for my first hour of labor. Then, since I had 14 more hours, they charged me $4,600 for that. Do you think I wanted to be in labor for 15 hours? That blew my mind. I am still shook about that. Not to mention, I got charged for the delivery here, but then also I have a totally separate bill for the delivery from the actual provider, the doctor that cut me and caught my baby. This $2,600 is just for the hospital. Then I had $1,200 in lab charges because I lost so much blood when he was stitching me up, because it took him an hour to stitch me up and they had to keep drawing my blood because the count was so low. They needed to make sure it was going back up before they could discharge me to go home. So they drew my blood like 2 or 3 times a day until they let me go home. Then I got an ultrasound. The doctor ordered it before he had me start pushing because he wanted to know how much the baby weighed. So that was $930. Pharmacy charges. So that is a very long list, which is why I did not do the drop down, but it includes all of the like ibuprofen they gave me after birth, the stool softener after birth. It includes all of the postpartum essentials like the dermoplast, all that good stuff. Recovery room. So they, I guess, had me in a recovery room, which I stayed in the same room the entire time I was there, but they code them differently for different, like, why you're staying there each night. So I had a recovery room, I guess, for $2,000, but that apparently was only for 1 to 2 hours. I don't know. Because then there's room and board all the way at the bottom for $5,700, and I just don't understand. Like, room and board, and then recovery room, and then labor and delivery room. They told me when I called billing that that's just how they code everything. Thanks for the help. But again, this is just one of the bills.
So we just got our medical bill in the hospital from having Luxin, and I looked at it, y'all, and I haven't showed Derek it, so I'm gonna give him the breakdown of how much it costs to have a baby in 2023. Well, where we had Luxin it. Vaginal delivery, $6,133. I don't know what this means, but I guess it means ops, I don't know, something. $343. Another one of those, $343.
Okay.
$634.
Okay.
Initial hospital or birth, I don't know, $760.
Bet.
Circumcision, $873.
Worth it.
Hospital care, $336.
Ooh, okay. You ain't saying nothing big.
Hospital discharge day, $634. And the last and final part, hospital stay for your husband, $799.
For real? Mm-hmm. Is that what it said?
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be more.
How much was that?
I don't know, but it's probably around somewhere around 10,000.
$10,392.
Hey, I'm a genius. I'll hit him up and tell him we're gonna look out for him.
I I'm gonna say these prices are ridiculously high. They are just not normal. It just looks like somebody just went in the computer and just typed in some random numbers, and they're like, hey, here you go, this is for you, this is for you, this is for you. And it's like, oh my god, you're not being realistic here. But yeah,
this is a PSA to all the moms who recently gave birth. Never pay the hospital bill until you've done this. I just got a bill in the mail for myself and my baby. This particular one was $1,500 after insurance. The first thing is to always ask for an itemized bill to make sure that you didn't get overcharged for anything or services that you didn't receive. The second step is to call the number that you see on the bill and just ask to speak with their financial department. And I simply asked, do you guys have any discounts to pay over the phone in full? And she said, sure, we can give you 20% off. My $1,500 bill just became $1,200. That's $300 I just saved by just calling. Took me 5 minutes to do it, and it's so worth it. That's literally free money because girl math.
Today's unsolicited life hack is going to be about medical bills, and the life hack is going to be brought to you by a very random debt collector who gave me one of the most useful tips I've ever been given when it comes to paying medical bills. But a short backstory on how a debt collector came to be giving me advice. I gave birth to my second child, and then I got the medical bill, and I was like, wow, I know that having kids in the United States is expensive because I've had one of them, so even with insurance it was several $1,000s, but this seems like several thousand too many dollars. So I called the hospital and was like, hey, can you send me an itemized bill for this medical bill, because it's throwing me off, it seems high, so I'd like to see an itemized list before I pay it. It had everything I expected. That's stupid, like $40 for a Tylenol and crap like that. But it also had on there for close to $3,000 that I had had an epidural. And I can assure you, I did not have an epidural with my second child. I assume this is going to be an easy fix. So I call billing and I'm like, hey, there's a charge on here for an epidural. I did not have an epidural. So can we get that removed? Turns out was not an easy fix, and I did 10 rounds with them, and they were insistent that I did in fact have an epidural and that they could see it on my, like, what they were looking at, that I received an epidural, so I was getting billed for an epidural and I had to pay for it. I clearly was not going to pay for it because I did not in fact receive an epidural, so I paid the difference of that amount, and then while going 10 rounds with them, assuming that because I was communicating with them and we were trying to figure this out, that like it would just sit there until I paid it, they sent it to debt collections. I'd like to clarify the medical side of my experience in this hospital. Absolutely amazing. Had the best experience having both babies there. I would walk through fire for the midwife that delivered JP when I gave birth naturally without an epidural because she was amazing and a godsend. But anyway, billing department was having a very different experience. I had never had anything go to debt collections. I didn't know how that works. I pay all my bills on time, but I get this random phone call from this very nice woman who's like, hey, I'm with whatever debt collection agency, you owe this amount, you have to pay it today. And I freaked out a little bit and then was like, whoa. And then I told her, I've been going back and forth with the hospital because they're charging me for an epidural and I did not receive an epidural. She was very kind. She immediately said, oh, this happens all the time. They mess up stuff all the time. Told me she was going, somehow there's a process on her end where she could like send it back to them so it wasn't gonna like mess up my credit, which is what I was freaking out about. And she told me, call them and tell them that you want to request your full medical record because now you are concerned about what else has been erroneously recorded in your medical record if they have it recorded that you received care that you didn't. Y'all, when I tell you that solved my problem so freaking fast, that's literally all I did. I called and said, I'm being charged for something that I didn't receive, so now I'm very concerned about what is recorded in my medical record that is wrong. They removed the charge within hours because I have an online record. Like I logged into it and I could see everything I received and it wasn't there, which I tried telling them and they insisted in billing like, no, this is on there. We have to charge you for it. I'm also certain the billing people are very nice and we're just doing their jobs, but it was a very like W2F situation. But I have now used that multiple times and it works every single time. So if you are ever being charged for something that you know is wrong or you shouldn't be charged for, because apparently this happens, like I'm sure these things happen. There's a lot of moving parts. Anyway, you just call and say you're concerned about what else is wrong in your medical record and request to see it, and suddenly the charges go away.
Some people actually say that this is a birth control. Watching these videos gives them like, it just makes them be like, okay, that's the reason why they're like, thank God they're not having children because it really costs so much. Not to talk of after having that child, you will now come and start dealing with paying for the child care, paying for, you know, them going to daycares, paying for like all the monthly hospital visitation that you need to do. Yes, your insurance can cover some of them, but you're still going to be paying for some. And it's like, yes, consistently you're going to keep paying the unrealistic prices that you're charging people and the huge amount of money that they keep telling you that you owe them. Actually, do not blame people who say they just ignore the bill. Like anytime they just get a medical bill, they ignore it. And there are people who say like, hey, like literally they don't even remember that there's supposed to be a medical bill, because anytime they go to the hospital, they're just going there for free and they just grab their medical bill and just toss it in the trash. To each their own. If that's what they want to do, that's what you want to do. But you guys, what do you guys think about this whole thing? I just think it's fun to watch because it's funny. Like I just feel like it's just not realistic at all. But what do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comment section down below. Make sure you please click the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new here and you're watching me for the very first time. Clicking the like button really helps with the algorithm and I appreciate that so much. I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.